OK, I've got a letter. I reckon this one just about persuades me. It acknowledges that I don't normally deal with letters, but it says, Dear Chris, I accidentally heard your programme last month and wondered if you could do me a favour. I know you don't usually do requests, but I still think your will could be bent by my story. I'm 42 years old and consider myself intelligent, educated, but unlucky. Last winter, I was working as a council street sweeper. It was my age, I suppose, but I had become resigned to the daily drudge of heaping slimy newspapers, dead pizza boxes and other yuck into my large plastic barrow. Occasionally, when my route crossed the park, I could linger for a few moments in the lovely green spaces and watch the men from the Parks and Recreation Department blowing leaves around with their special underarm machines. One day, as I emerged into the street, my attention was caught by a cold shower of mud thrown from a puddle by the wheel of a bus. My mouth opened to curse, but no shouts passed my teeth. Instead, they were stopped by an invisible plug made out of the fact that the bus driver was a woman, and what's more, she had the most beautiful face. Not in a classical way, Chris. It was somehow more arresting than that. One moment perhaps prettily bovine, the next majestic like Angelica Houston. That night, I vowed to woo her. It wasn't going to be easy. I'm shy and useless at approaching people with words. I'm pretty useless all round, in fact. I only have one real tactic, and to be honest, it had never really worked before, even when I was younger. So why was I even thinking of using it now? Something in her noble face told me that it might just work this time. The next day, I was ready to act. First, I needed some leaves. An hour before I entered the park, I phoned the department and reported the leaf blowers for attacking a rose bush with their machine. It worked. By the time I got there, they had all been apprehended on a vegetable abuse, and I could have all the leaves I needed. Feverishly, I started laying them out in a huge ring on the ground by the bus stop. Using more leaves and some other detritus from my barrow, I created a large cross shape joined to the ring, thus forming the biological symbol for females. Seconds later, the bus appeared. People were already staring, so I felt confident their gaze would funnel her attention in my direction. It worked. She turned and looked. Immediately, I started jumping about on my barrow, pointing enthusiastically first at her, then at my giant woman sign. Then I held her eye and leapt into the ring. Here I threw my arms open into a gesture of welcome and stared straight into her eyes, jumping up and down on the spot and roaring the word yes over and over again. I'd always known this to be a risky tactic, but I felt it so much more keenly now that she was staring straight at me. It seemed to last forever. Then, ignoring the loud horns of the surrounding traffic, she suddenly opened the driver's door and stepped into the road. I advanced. We met. I love things like that, she whispered. Ah, I replied. Good. All the cars had stopped and switched off their engines. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, she rejoined. I couldn't believe my luck. Excellent, I both thought and said. Everything seemed to go silent. I shut my eyes and knelt to kiss her hand. Then, somewhere I thought I heard a sparrow fly into a brick. Suddenly, her fingers jerked from my lips. I looked up to see her catapulted into a weird backflip, her head transfixed by a spear of frozen liquid waste from an aeroplane toilet facility. She bounced off her own windscreen and lay quite dead on the road. To this day, Chris, I've been unable to erase the last awful sound she made as her body hit the ground. Imagine a man singing with a knot in his neck. But you could help me recall happier, carefree times by playing Jimmy Tarbuck's version of I Should Be So Lucky. Yours, hopefully, Roger Species. Roger, it's a pleasure.